What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today we are doing the second of the 28, I guess, days series trilogy now, because we've been getting a third one. Today we are doing 28 weeks later, and I remember seeing this not long after the first one, and I don't really remember it because I'll be honest, I don't often watch this one. I've kind of watched 28 Days Later almost by itself, so I haven't watched this one in like fuck maybe 10, 11 years ago. It's been a while since I've seen this one, and I don't really remember. So I kind of, it's almost like it was kind of fun watching it last night because it's almost like watching it again for the first time. And I gotta say, this is actually a really good sequel. I think this is how you do a sequel. It is set weeks later, like the name. I like that it kind of picks up right after the first one. They're kind of a great companion piece to the first one. You still have that great engine from the first. I'll admit, not as strong characters. This time around, it's about siblings. Um, so they're kind of the ones you follow. Jeremy Renner's in it. Idris Elba's in it for a little bit. You do deal with like the U.S. forces arriving in London and trying to contain the virus. Obviously, it spreads. The part where the military basically says you got to start just shooting indiscriminately. It's pretty tragic to watch. And I'm gonna say the score of the opening sequence, and even like they play throughout the movie, is so fucking good, and it's well placed. It's not just they're playing a score just to play a score. It actually makes sense when they play it. I think this one very much does still capture the atmosphere like the first one did, so I will give this one credit. I thought this one. Another thing I will say, this one does actually I think did something better than the first. The scale. You saw how much bigger and more widespread it's gotten. I really love that they expanded the scale because I've always said a perfect sequel. One of the things you do is you expand the scale and the lore, but also the scale. You make it feel like it's much bigger, and I thought they did a good job here with that. Like, you could tell they put much more work into it. The siblings, Tam and Andy, I think they're the siblings of the movie. Unfortunately, their father and mother died. Well, their mother eventually dies, but the father dies earlier. And I thought the actress for the daughter did really well. She like when her brother had to tell her her father was turned into one of those things. Her face when she started breaking down was very believable. Like, I still really feel like I'm gonna see if the same people wrote it. Okay, he had a different director. Okay, so not necessarily even the same people. That's probably why some people don't really like it because it's probably not made by Alex Garland and Danny Boyle. But I still feel like they largely still did a good job with this. I love the look of the creatures. I like they don't expand the lore too much by getting to a point where they explain too much. Like, I like that it's just still about containing the virus and that's it. They still make that the main vocal point. They're not trying to go too into the lore because I don't need that stuff. For me, with this movie, it just showed me people trying to survive and how society is handling this. And I do like that they're bringing in America and other countries. Well, America mainly, but it's still in London, but you do have Americans because of course, you're gonna have help from other countries because it's gone bigger scale, and I love that. I love how much they've really expanded. That's what a good sequel does. So, overall, 28 weeks later is pretty good. If I were to, I gave the first one like a 9.5 out of 10. Like it's almost a 10 out of 10 movie. This one is like a 9. I think I can give this one just a straight up 9. I think this is a really good movie. I think 28 days and weeks are perfect to watch back to back. And I cannot wait till years because I feel like this will be a perfect trilogy. So I very much love it. I recommend it. I think if you've seen it but you don't really remember it, I still say watch it. It's not like I'm gonna keep saying not as strong as the first, and I definitely don't think it has as strong. The opening is really good, nowhere near as strong of an opening. That opening in the first one just that was something else. But the opening in this is still pretty good. Like I overall still think this is a really good movie. Like so, I recommend it. So tomorrow, I don't know yet if I'm gonna do a video on the weekend because I do want to see Nosferatu again, probably Sunday, and then I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a video tomorrow. Um, so if I don't do a video, it will probably won't be until Monday, if anything. Though I do wanna. I finally found that werewolves movie that took fucking forever to go on the seas, but it's finally on there. So I'll see about Sunday maybe doing it. I'll see how I'm feeling. Maybe I'll push it up to Sunday and then I'll do something else Monday. But if not, I'll probably just do it Monday. And then actually, you know what I might do? Maybe Sunday. Because I think today I was gonna do All Star Superman. Maybe Sunday I'll do that. I'll do All Star Superman. I'll see how I'm feeling. But if not, then I'll do All Star Superman next week. But I'll probably do it Sunday. So yeah, Sunday I'll probably do All Star Superman, one of my favorite animated movies. I love that story just in general. So yeah, and then I'll be doing werewolves on Monday. So, anyways, guys, let's get into 28 weeks later. So the movie starts. Um, Don, his wife Alice, along with a couple other survivors, um, live in the outskirts of town. They let a boy in, and it's like I really one thing I love is how it kind of you're kind of going with different characters now. That aspect I'm fine with. So I don't know if there were any people. I hope there weren't, but if there are any people who complain like, oh, maybe Cillian Murphy wasn't in it, he didn't need to come back. I'm cool with him coming back in this one, but I'm in the next one. But for me, I'm okay with this one focusing on different characters because I actually okay with seeing how it affected other parts of London, and I thought that was cool. This is kind of what this one did. It like went right into um like uh like built on the story. Like you have now different characters. You're seeing how it affects different group of survivors, and so infected people have come. They start attacking the house, and yeah, this is a great fucking opening. This music that starts swelling and playing is so good. It's so eerie, and yeah. And another thing I was kind of noticing watching this movie because this movie came out in 2007. I love 2007, but the one thing I feel like, and it's not just 2007, I would say even like 2006, like just the mid 2000s, there was a period in time when a lot of action movies and stuff like that would always have a million fucking jump cuts. Like any kind of action scene, especially like just like the middle of the action, million jump cuts. And unfortunately, 2007, there's a lot of movies that unfortunately did that kind of stuff. Even like some horror did it, and I'm happy that this one didn't go that route because that was just unfortunately the in thing at that time was that the uber choppy editing and the choppy shooting, and I think part of it was just because the truth is the Bourne movies came out like right around that time. So I think yeah, '07 was Bourne Ultimatum. So it was the third one. The first one was like '02 or '03. So the mid 2000s. So unfortunately, like every fucking action movie. One of the only rare ones at the time though was superheroes. It wasn't until like '07 is when I really kind of go back and watch a lot of 2007 movies, like action movies. I'll say let's keep it just action. Unfortunately, he had that really jump cut shit. So I'm happy they didn't go that route with this movie. You were actually able to see all the action. They let you do and see normal shots, and even with the action scenes. There is a little bit of shaky cam too. That's the other one, shaky cam. That's the where they would always shake the fucking camera. And I'm not gonna say that it's not in this, but I think it fits in this kind of movie and the way the world's built. I'm okay with shaky cam at times, or them shaking the camera a little bit, because it does make it feel kind of lived in, like, because let's be real, people are kind of always on the fucking run in these movies, so it kind of makes sense that the camera would be shaky. Because I'm gonna be real with you, even the first one had that a little bit. It wasn't as noticeable, but it was there. So I'm okay with like the camera shake. It's more if you're just constantly doing like a billion fucking jump cuts is where I have a problem. So I'm happy that this movie didn't really go that route, especially considering it was the in thing at the time. So, so Alice and the boy escape. Um, so yeah, apparently, unfortunately, abandons the boy and the girl, and the survivors are killed. NATO takes over Britain, or they take control of Britain because the it's spreading too bad. And I actually really like that. I like it. Keep saying, I'm gonna say that a lot in this video. Is they expand. That is what a sequel should do. Is it expands and makes it feel bigger? Because of course that's what would happen. NATO would try to get involved, and Americans would try to get involved. And try to help. You know, and so this is where 28 weeks after the initial outbreak, they have a center, the military control, under the command of General Stone. I'm trying to think who plays him. Because, yeah, Idris Elba's in the movie, but he's like a minor character, I will say. I do kind of wish he had a bit more of a role, but yeah, Jeremy Renner's in this. He plays a soldier. He plays Doyle, a sniper. Um, this is where we meet Don and Alice's children, Tammy and Andy, who I will say for kid actors are actually pretty good. They were pretty solid in this. They, especially the boy. I thought the boy. Oh, they touch on too that it's mentioned that their mother had a certain blood that is basically it. It's immune naturally to the virus. So they're trying to potentially use their blood. That's one of the reasons they want to keep these children alive, is because their blood. So you also have the lady from Rose Byrne. That's her name. If you remember her, she's in Insidious. She was Moira McTaggart in the Fox X-Men, the later Fox X-Men movies. Like, I think she was in First Class and Apocalypse, or I think she was in First Class, but I know she was in. Okay, no, she was in First Class. Apocalypse, I think she was in Days of Future Past too, but she was definitely in Apocalypse. I remember her being in that movie. So she's a good actress, and I thought she was decent in this as a Scarlet. She's a nurse. Um, who she's the one who mentions the blood. Um, and well, they get reunited with their father, who obviously we know what happened, where they left their father behind. The father left their mother behind, basically, which is pretty sad. But I do like that's it's a sad reality, but I do love how that realism with these movies. Fortunately, there would be people who would do that. It's fucked up, and you don't. It's one of those like things you don't want to acknowledge, but it's unfortunately a reality. And he kind of lies to he obviously lies to him about what happened to their mom. And this is where we meet Doyle. They're guarding this area. He's guarding this area. The military. They kind of he's a sniper. And Tammy and Andy sneak out one night. Um, so they can go back to the home and get some of their stuff. And this is where they do find their mom, who's in a weird state, who probably can't obviously can't tell them what happened, but I think another thing this one does well too is it does still maintain that tone and that dread of the original. I like that it, obviously goes a bit more. There's more infected in this, I will say. They do show you much more infected. And I like there's a scene where the infected are just swarming and they're like almost going in like unison and they're all like I love that. It was like them traveling. It was kind of cool seeing that stuff. But like I was saying, I really do like that they maintain that dread of the original. Like because that's what made that original film work. So there's even a scene where they go out and it's still dead quiet like like in the original. So I do like that they still try to keep that kind of tone because they do show you more more of I'll call them, I guess you can call them not zombies, but the infected, and you, but they don't like sacrifice because there's some where they can, oh, we're just gonna go more action, and we may sacrifice the story, and I felt like they did not do that with this. I thought they had a nice balance of you get more infected, you get much more like action scenes. Now with characters with guns, you have the military there, but I like they still do try to tell a story because to me that's all I really want. With a good sequel is if you could still maintain that, like kind of like obviously I don't think this is as good, but Rambo 2, First Blood Part 2 maintains that tone of the original Rambo, but definitely still they definitely expand with the action. They for sure. So I think if you can manage to do both, still maintain the story, but also add in more action and more scope, and that this one does all that. There's much more scope in this. I also like though they don't still fully explain how the virus works. I mean, it's self-explanatory in that sense, but what I mean is they don't explain fully like the origin and all that. Um, this is when the military all come in and take them back to the camp. Um, this is where Alice is taken, and that's when they're able to get their that's when she realizes about her mother's blood or their mother's blood, and then so Don visits his wife and then almost like in regret and apologizes to her. She then kisses him, or he kisses her, but then the blood's infected, so the infected arrive, and oh no, he gets infected and then he kills her, and then um Yeah, Don starts domino effect because this is where initially, yeah, the Scarlet makes the realization, but Dawn starts infecting the refugees, and which then start attacking the soldiers, and this is where you get this big attack. And I fucking love this whole sequence. The music that starts playing that they played earlier in this at the start of the movie, I fucking love the score. It's so haunting. It is very haunting. It is like, and they play it at the right moment. To me, that's what makes a good score. It's not just the score itself and the song. It's if you can play it at the right moment. Because like there's bad examples. One of the problems I have with the newer Jurassics, I felt like sometimes the music cues they would play the music was so off. They would play it at random times, just be like, "Oh, guys, we're playing the song," but I'm like, it's not just playing the song; it's about playing it at the right moment. And I felt like this is like the perfect example of that. That music cue when it hits, like in the beginning, was a perfect time, but also in this scene when the infected start going crazy and basically kind of becomes a riot. And, the infected are attacking everybody, but then everybody's turning, which then unfortunately the general orders basically now, initially the snipers have to try to just take out the zombies, but because everybody's rapidly turning, the general kind of has to order. And I hate, not going to say I agree with it, but it's one of those things where in that world you can kind of put yourself in. It's like you almost kind of, in a way, understand his decision. It's a fucked up one, but you understand it. That you kind of have to just kind of start shooting anybody because how rapidly they're turning and how fucking crazy the situation's getting. In a way, they at least the movie explains why the decision's made. Fucked up decision, but you understand why. Because it's like, yeah, everybody's rapidly turning. It's going fast. Like that's the other thing about, I think both the first one and this one do great is how quick things can be. It can just be quiet 1 minute, and then when the infected are there, and how rapidly, especially if there's a lot of people, it instantly just everybody turns. So it makes sense. They almost like have to. But um Andy almost gets attacked by a zombie, but then Tommy Doyle kills the zombie, but then protects the boy. Then the group of survivors were able to escape. Scarlet, Tammy, and Andy meet up with these group of survivors, and that's when um, Andy. Okay, yeah, because there's a scene where Andy gets attacked by his father. There's a couple scenes with that where Don's like on top of his son. Wow, that did not come out right. um, but yeah, yeah, but like, so it's one of those things too. It's like sad because this scene was hit because when Andy told Tammy about her father, she breaks down. The face she makes is perfect. It's like whoever that. Let me look who the actress for Tammy is. Imogen Poots. I'm trying to see if I've seen her in anything else. Okay, never mind. I don't think I have seen her in anything, but she is really good. Like that scene when she starts breaking down because it's like now both her, it's like that realization because now her father's dead essentially, and then her mother's dead. So it's just them two. And I thought Tammy and Andy had a good little, I like that they went like with a family kind of characters you're following along with, you have Doyle and Scarlet, who's they're part of the NATO group. And so Doyle basically comes in and agrees to help them escape the city. Um, we turn out that we learn that Dawn survived the bombings because, yeah, they bombed the city, which, not gonna lie, when that scene happened, was the visual looked pretty crazy. So then, um, Doyle leads the group out and has to try to escape, which I love that aspect too. Like, you're not even just dealing with zombies. I do like though that this one you don't really have a human villain. There is a scene where there's a couple times where the humans do bad stuff. Obviously, the scene where the humans have to unfortunately start shooting indiscriminately. There's this scene where a crazed sniper who is part of the and to be fair, this is another one that's realistic. You would just get shoot crazy. Some people would just get shoot crazy. Anything that moves, you don't know if it's infected or not. You're just like anything that moves. So, and also you gotta, I'm assuming too that he's probably still working under that order of shoot anything that moves. So, he starts kind of shooting off a lot of people, and then eventually, though, Doyle manages to shoot him and take him out. Um, this is where we get we this is a minor character too. Doyle has a pilot friend um named Flynn, who initially Flynn was only there to help Doyle. But Doyle tries to say, hey, can you help us all? And then obviously Flynn initially didn't want to, and it's more just because he was following orders. And he's like, I'm only here to save you. And then one of the survivors tries to leap onto the helicopter to try to get in. This scene is pretty crazy too, where he then, because then that's when the infected start coming. They all start swarming, but he then uses the helicopter blades to slice through all of them, which is a pretty cool scene. I was surprised though. I thought he was gonna crash because I thought like, oh, the blood's gonna get in the way or something, or he's gonna hit. But no, he actually good fucking pilot then, because he was able to do that and not really fuck up the blades either. And yeah, he slices through all the zombies. I keep saying zombie. I meant to say infected. Slices through the infected. Unfortunately, the person who's on the plane gets infected because the blood gets on. It's like obviously a shitload of infected blood gets on him, so it makes sense. He starts turning, but he manages to kill him too. That's when he tells Doyle to head to Wembley Stadium. Um, he tries to tell him to help to do it without Tammy and Andy. He refuses though, and so um they manage to steal a car and try to get to Wembley, but the car runs out of gas, and or because he had nerve gases released to kill the infected. But they're able to start it, and because American soldiers are drawing near, killing everything that moves. The group then escapes, but unfortunately, Doyle ends up getting burned alive, and Scarlet and the kids get into the London Underground. Dawn ends up killing Scarlet, infecting Andy. But obviously, Andy's blood. I think this is where it's shown that it works to heal him. Well, not heal him, but he doesn't end up getting infected because that's what I mentioned earlier. So they end up going to the helicopter. They manage to get to Wembley, and they basically fly away. And kind of more of the infected, still the world's still infected, basically kind of ending. So, and then it ends with a helicopter crashed, which is pretty tragic. So I wonder. I'm assuming that meant Andy or the girl got infected, one of the two. And yeah, the helicopter crashed, and yeah, So it's a pretty dark ending, but it's still a great sequel, and I very much recommend it. It does what a good sequel needs to do, but also still be its own. It wasn't just like a retread of the first one. I like that they expanded with different survivors. As much as I like Cillian Murphy, I'm cool with him not being in this one. You can bring him back in 28 years later. I'm kind of with him coming back in the third one. It's kind of cool that they decided, we're gonna do our own thing. So I love this movie. I fucking love it. Watching this one, and I kind of want to watch the first two, like these two back to back at some point soon. Probably, even though I know I've just watched them recently, I'll rewatch them again because I think definitely these are almost made to watch back to back. You know, so I wonder if they didn't do 28 years later. Let's say they were able to get this out, get a third one out like way before years. I think it would have been like 28 months later. I have a feeling that was going to be the original plan, then years, but they probably had to jump to years because they had to wait years, unfortunately. So if they, I don't know, maybe this one didn't do as good, and even didn't do great theatrically. Maybe that's why it took so long to get a third one made. Because I do wonder if it was the third one was going to originally be 28 months later. I feel like just logically it makes sense for that to be the next one. So, but since they've taken years, it makes sense to just jump to years. So I'm cool with that. So I cannot wait to 28 years later. But 20 weekdays and weeks are like perfect to watch back to back. It just it works. It still maintains that tone, but bigger scope. I love the additional characters. I thought Jeremy Renner was a good character. His death was pretty tragic. I do wish he made it to the end, but um, I love the infected. I love that they still don't fully like explain every single thing. So overall, 9 out of 10 movie. I definitely recommend it. That's all I can really say. Pin Down Podcast. Subscribe to it because tomorrow we are back. We're back. We're back. Gonna be live again tomorrow. So subscribe. And I cannot wait till 28 years later. I've already talked about it. That's my most anticipated film of the year. That trailer was so good. So it is gonna be cool to kind of get back since now that the original team who did the first one are back for this one. So, but this 28 weeks later is good. I'm not gonna say it's a step down, but it definitely is not as good. But it is still good. I definitely will stay like it's only a point 0.5 off compared to the first one. So I still that really shows I really like this one. So, anyways, I'm ready to call it here. Sunday, more than likely Sunday. I might try for tomorrow, but I don't. I have a feeling it won't be tomorrow. It'll probably be Sunday. I will be doing a review for Superman All Star Superman, the animated movie, which is a fucking classic. I love the All Star Superman story in general. Such a good story. One of the best Superman stories. I had fun going through the animated Batman movies, so it's gonna be kind of fun doing the same with Supes. So there's some good ones. All Star Superman, Superman vs. the Elite, Superman Doomsday, um, Brainiac Attacks. That's a good one too, which is more based off the DCAU Superman. But yeah, there's some good animated Superman movies, so can't wait to get into those. But anyway, Pin Down Podcast. We're back tomorrow. Subscribe. Link will be in the description. Other than that, guys, I am gonna wrap it here. All right, y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.